All right, quick plug for Patreon. Now, if you want to get this project file, go to Patreon right now, patreon.com/cbaileyfilm. If you join up at the second tier and up now, this month, you can get this project file. And if you want to get the full uncut version of this tutorial, it runs for about an hour. So if you want to go watch that, it's got a lot of extra detail. Go check it out at Patreon. You can join any tier to get that. You can also get it if you join on YouTube at the All Access Pass level or higher. Hello and welcome to another exciting Blender tutorial. Today we're going to be making a lightsaber in Blender. Let's get started. This is going to be a beginner modeling tutorial, so friendly for beginners. Anybody wants to make a lightsaber, I'm going to explain all the steps. All right, so let's go ahead and I will turn on screencast keys, hide that, and here we are in a fresh instance of Blender, and I'm going to hit A to select all and X to delete. Okay, now I've got a image here. I'll show you. This is the lightsaber. That's what it looks like. So what we're going to do first is we're going to start off by creating a cylinder. To do that, we're going to go Shift A to get the add menu, and we're going to go Mesh. We're going to grab a cylinder, and there it is. Now, what we're going to do is go into Edit mode with hitting Tab, and with Edit mode, we're going to go to the Face Selection mode. Now, the quickest way to jump between these is to hit 1, 2, and 3 on your keypad. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit 3 on my keyboard and hit X to delete that top face, and I'll delete this bottom face as well. All right, great. Now I'm going to hit A to select all and S to scale and Z to lock it on the Z. I'm just going to bring it right down, and this is where we're going to start the base of the lightsaber. So I'm just going to hit G and Z and bring it up a little bit just so it's sitting right there on the bottom of my my 3D world. All right, cool. Now I'm going to go to Edge mode, or you can hit 2 on your keyboard. I'm going to hold down Alt, and Alt is really great because if you hold down Alt and click, you'll get a loop. A continuous loop of edges or vertices or faces or whatever it is you've got active. So Alt is how you can select a whole loop. And we're going to hit G and Z and just bring this down a little bit. I just have a reference over here I'm just glancing at. And what I want to do is I'm going to hit E again and Z, and we're going to bring this up. So E is the hotkey for extruding. So we're going to extrude up like this, and then I'm going to hit E and S. And this will extrude and scale, and then E and Z and come up just a little bit. Then E and S again, and we'll come back out. Just have a little kind of divot right here. And then I'm going to, let's just scale it up a little bit more. I'll just use 1 on my keypad to go into the side view. I'll just make sure I scale this so that it lines up the other side there. And then I'm going to hit E and Z, and we're going to come up a little bit further. I'm just going to do this by eye. And then we're going to hit E and S, and bring it out a little bit like this. And then E and Z, we're going to come up. And I just look at this straight on so I can get a sense of the proportions. So grab Z, come up a little ways like this. And then we're going to do a little divot in. So E and S and scale in just a little bit. I'm going to hold down Shift to slow down how much that scale happens. And then E and Z and go up like this. And then E and Z and back out. And again, 3 on my number keypad. I'm going to come over here to line this up and just S to scale until it looks pretty good. Nice. And then I'm going to hit E and Z. We're going to bring this right up, and this is going to be the whole kind of hilt of the lightsaber. And then E and S, we're going to go in a little bit, and E and Z, and I'm going to come up like that, and then E and S, and go in again, and then just come up like this, scale it in a little bit, and then E and Z like so. And this is going to be, this part's kind of like curved in. We're just going to hold off on that, and I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to keep making this structure using E to extrude, G to grab, S to scale, and we're going to keep moving through it. So I've got that first one, and these are all kind of equally spaced. Let me show you the picture. I'm ignoring these bits that stick out, and we've just gone up to this right here, and this whole silver section is this whole bit here, and we're just here up at this bit where I've got these sort of, you know, riveted sections, and that's going to be what we're going to do here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of these guys. So I want to try and duplicate that work so I don't have to do it over again. So I've got this curve up. This comes up to, so we've done this, go up, and then we're going to have E and S and grab Z. And it come out, doesn't come quite to the same width in just a little bit. And then EZ straight up like so. And then it's going to kind of repeat, I think. So let's stop and we'll make this kind of look like that, and then we'll copy and paste it. So I'm going to go to edge mode and hold down Alt, grab this, and we're going to hit Control B to bevel. And I'll roll my mouse mill and drag my mouse out, and that's going to create a lot of cuts here and give it some curvature, which matches that curvature there. And it looks like, do we have curvature going up? It does kind of feel like it does. So it goes in like that, and this here, do like a loop cut. So I hit Control R, that's the hotkey for creating a loop cut, and I'll just insert one right here, and I'll grab Z, just hold down Shift a little bit, and just kind of pop that down. Maybe one more right here, grab Z, hold down Shift, and just bring it down a little bit. That's just going to create a tiny bit of curve on this side. And then I think that's what we can begin to duplicate. So let's hold down Alt, select this top ring, and then Control plus to expand our selection. So Control plus is the hotkey to expand the selection. Keep going till about here. And then what we're going to do is Shift D, which is the hotkey for duplicating. And then we're going to hit Z to lock it on the Z, and we're going to come up to about here. Click to commit, and I'll look at this on the side view. So I hit 3 on my number keypad, and it's pretty sharp, this edge here. So I'm going to bring it down, but not right in line with it. I'm going to bring it up a little bit so we can have a connection point. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to edge mode. I'm going to Alt click this loop, and then Shift and Alt click that one. So we're holding down Shift, holding down Alt, and then we click the second loop. Now these two loops, because we duplicate it from down here, they have the same number of edges. That means we can easily bridge the gap between them. So what we can do is hit F3, and we could type bridge edge loops. And that will create a bridge between the edge loops. Now it's all connected, right? And what we can do is we can continue that process until we have enough, to fill this thing out. So let's do that. I'm going to go back in. I'm going to hold down Alt, grab that one. I'm going to hit Control plus and expand things out this far, right? So we're all the way up to this edge. And then I'm going to Shift-D, Z, and then I want to figure out what's the exact number I need to get this thing to line up perfectly, or at least close to perfectly. You can see that I've got those numbers. There's 0.3. You see those moving around up there? Just make sure they're on the screen. Yeah. So those are telling me how far I'm moving it. So if I line this thing up by eye, and it looks like 0.3 is what I need. I'll click to commit. That should be pretty close. Now what I can do is I can just repeat that action, and it will repeat it over and over again, the last action. So repeat last action. I believe the hotkey is Shift-R. Yeah. So Shift-R repeats the last action. So it's going to duplicate the same piece and move it up 3. So now we can do this same number of times, 9. So 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. So now what we have to do is join up these pieces, because at each of these points, if I go to vertex mode, grab this, you can see it's not connected. So I need to hit A to select all, and then M is the hotkey to merge. Now again, if you forget these hotkeys and you're not sure where to find them, you can always hit F3 and just start typing for what you're looking for. So I want to merge some vertexes, and you'll get some information up. So you can see merge is the first thing that pops up. And all these different merge options down here. So you can explore it that way. All the options are also up here. They all live up here. It's like under mesh. Actually don't know. Oh, there it is, merge. And it tells you the hotkey and stuff. So if you ever forget, just go hunting up there. You'll find it. But M, and we're going to merge by distance. So this will look for everything that's really close and merge it. And so the things that should be the closest are going to be these vertexes that are like right on top of each other. So we had 0 removed, but we know that we need to have something removed. So we're going to increase the merge distance until we get something. So it's 0.1. And so 0.01 got 256 vertexes removed. I'll just make sure everything looks okay. Good. Awesome. Cool. Back to edge mode. Click this to get the stop edge loop. And now we're up here. So we'll go into the side view. And looks like we might be a bit too squishy on this. These guys are a bit taller. Like if we like line this up, I could put this in the scene so we could actually like see it. This, yeah. So what I can do is again Control plus to expand that selection out. I'm going to grab all these pieces, do that, and then I want to scale the whole thing up. And then we're going to go S and Z, and that will expand these guys up. I'm going to grab Z and just move it up a little bit. That looks pretty good. Yeah, much better. Okay, now to get to edge mode, come back up to here. We're going to do this top rounded bit. So E and Z, and we'll just come up and scale this down like so. And then I'm going to hit E and Z, come in, and then E and Z, come up for this bit. And then we're going to go E, Z, come out, and E, grab Z. We're going to come up, E, and scale out to, looks like to the same width as these guys. So come right out to this. E and Z, come up. It's a pretty tiny little disc. And then E and S to scale, come in. And then EZ, we're going to come up. EZ, scale in. Sorry, not Z, ES. ES, E and Z. And we're going to go up. Looks a bit too big, so I can hit 3 to go to face mode. Hold down Alt, select that whole group. And then I can hit S to scale, but I don't want to scale on the Z, so I'm going to hit Shift Z, and that turns off Z scaling. You can also scale along normals with Alt S, and that's a good way to do the same kind of thing. Just scale that down a little bit. Back to edge mode, up here, E and S, come out, E and Z, come up, E and S, scale out, and EZ, up Z, bit further, E and S, out, and E and Z, up, E and Z, and E and grab Z, and then E and S in, all the way down, and then E and Z up to the final bit there. And then E, we're going to S, and then E and Z come down like this, and then we're just going to go F3 and type in grid fill. That will fill that hole. Nice. All right. Now this bit's a bit curved, right? And ours isn't, so let's do that. So I'm going to hit back to edge mode and then Control R and create an edge loop right in the middle. I'm just going to scale this out a little bit. That just to round out that shape. It's pretty good. All right, let's check out our proportions. See, I think we probably are a bit off. Once again, I feel like this top bit could be bigger. So I'm going to go into transparent mode, which is up here, X-ray, toggle X-ray mode. And I'm going to drag a box around all of this, and then S, Shift Z. I'm just going to make it bigger. I might scale the whole thing up, and then just bring it up a little bit. I might go to face mode, grab these guys and Alt S, scale along the normal, and just bring them up a little bit so it's a bit thicker. That looks pretty good. All right. Cool. Now let's do these things down here. Turn X-ray mode off. So I'm going to hold down Alt and click this loop of faces right down here. And then I'm going to come up here to select, and we're going to go checker deselect. And then on the checker deselect option, just want to make sure that selected is set to 2. Now I'm assuming you'll have the same number as me if we started with the default cylinder than you would. So, but anyways, that will give you this kind of result here. And now what we're going to do with this is we're going to hit I to inset, and inset takes whatever faces you have selected and kind of extrudes them and scales them at the same time, kind of along the direction they're facing. So I'm going to just bring these guys in a little bit like that, I think. And then I'm going to hit S to scale, and that will push them all out a little ways. And then I'm going to scale Z because it looks like they taper, and that's pretty good. All right, so let's move up along the mesh. We've got to make this thing next. So it looks like a sort of box object that just sits on the side. It could be like these, maybe that one. I've just selected a group of faces there, and we could just hit E with all those. And then I'm going to move it out in the direction that they're facing. Like I don't want to move it this way or that way or that way. I want to actually move it in the direction that they're facing. So I'm going to switch from global to normal. We get this little square with an arrow icon. And what normal does, I'll bring up the widget so you can see, means that I can actually move things in the direction that they're pointing. So the faces are pointing out in this direction of the blue arrow. So I can just grab this and move it out. And it looks pretty good. Now, the connection part of this is going to be curved, but it looks like the front of this is flat. So I need to now scale Z, and that will flatten out that surface. If I hit 0, it'll scale it till it's perfectly flat. I'm going to hit E, and then I'll come forward like this. So now I've got this extra row of edges. All right, we're going to select this face right here, and I'm going to make sure I'm set to normal for my pivot point. And I'm going to E and, or sorry, what are these called? Transform orientation. So grab Z, we can E and grab Z. We're just going to come out just a little bit like that. I'm going to go to edge mode, and then I'm going to grab X and slide this one over. And then I'm going to grab these two faces and hit E to extrude and just pull them out a little bit on the Z, kind of the same distance that this has gone out. And I'll do the same on the other side. We'll come over here, E and Z will come out just a little bit. And we're going to grab this edge, grab X, slide it over. And then that face, E, and we're going to go out just a little bit there. I might look at this thing top down and just make sure it's lined up. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to grab these faces, so hit 3 to go into face mode. Grab these faces right here, and I'm going to hit P to separate by selection. That will make a new object. So I'm going to cut a hole and leave this thing. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to join them back together, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to be out of edit mode, so hit Tab, Shift Select, put those guys, Control J to join, back into edit mode. Now these are separate, right? There's probably a quicker way to do that, but let me know in the comments. Hey, now we're going to go Control R, and now we can get loop cuts. And they're not going to go around the whole lightsaber. They're just going to do this front bit. So we can do this a bunch of times and then click and hit escape. That will leave all these guys selected and kind of leave them right in the middle. And then what we can do is we can hit Control B to bevel and roll our mouse out. I'm just going to roll my mouse wheel down so I don't have any extra cuts. And then with all these, I can click. And now if all the face is still selected, I can hit E and Z. And go in. Now we've got something like that. Cool. All right, so what we can do now is we can come over to the wrench, and I want to add a bevel modifier to this. So I'm going to click there and type in bevel, and this will give me a bevel modifier, but it's not going to work necessarily 100% of the time, but it looks pretty good. Most of these places, it seems to be doing the right thing out of the gate, which is good. Then we're going to add a subdivision surface modifier underneath it, and this will smooth out the geometry. What the bevel does is it, if you have a look, I'll just hide this, go really close to one of these edges. If you turn it on and off, you can see it's splitting the edge and giving it a little bit of a diagonal so it can catch the light. Then the subdivision surface comes along, and whenever it runs into two edges that are super close, it kind of leaves them alone. It leaves them sharp, basically. But any edges that are further apart, it'll kind of smooth around them. It'll create a rounded shape between those. So that's how we can get these nice rounded shapes in some places and hard edges in others. Cool. All right. Now what we can do is we can right click and shade auto smooth. That will shade the normals, which is the direction the faces are pointing. It'll shade them smooth, so make them look hard if their angle is kind of close to each other. But if the angle's really strong, like a 90-degree angle, then it won't. It'll shade it like it's a sharp edge. And now we've got all that good stuff. All right. Awesome. All right, now we can assign a few materials to this. We might as well texture it, right? We've got this gold, copper, we've got a burnished metal, and we've got this black area as well, this black metal. So we're going to go ahead and go to the Material tab, and I'm going to switch over to Rendered View. And I'm going to click this drop down, and I'm going to click Scene World, and let's just grab this dark world here. I'll turn the opacity up so we can really see it. And now let's click New to create a new shader. We'll start with this burnished metal, and I'll make this the shader editor. So let's go ahead and just turn metallic right up. Immediately we'll get pretty close. And I'm going to take the roughness right down. That will make it very, very reflective. So if I put it in a brighter environment over here and pick like this one, you can see it looks like metal. Now we need to scuff it up. So let's come over here and we're going to grab all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a Musgrave texture node. So I'm going to go search, Shift A, search, and then Musgrave. And then if you have a look at what this thing looks like, I'll bring it over here and put the height straight into the surface. We can see it. We're going to bring the dimension down and the detail up. And it's going to really create this breakup across the image. Like that. Now, I'm going to unplug it, put the BSDF back in. I'm going to create a color ramp. And I want to remap the black and white values of this to this roughness. So this is the roughness I like. This creates the right kind of reflection, right? So I'm going to copy that number. And I'm going to pick this white value, which the number for this is 1. And I'm going to paste the number that we like for the roughness into it. So now it becomes this dark gray. And I don't want this to go to black because black is 0 and 0 is perfect mirror reflection, which we don't want. So I'm going to bring this up so it's more of a dull reflection, and I'll plug it in. And you'll see we get this nice variation in the reflections, which looks good. Looks like little scratches and stuff. And we could do a bit more with this. Take the scale up or down. That's pretty good. And then maybe darken this up a little bit. Bring it down and give it a slight, there's a slight like coppery touch to it. So I might just push that a little bit to the coppery hues. I'm going to come over here to Eevee, to the Render tab, and I'm going to turn on Ambient Occlusion, Bloom, and Screen Space Reflections, and that'll give us even more detail. So now what we need to do is use the same metal material, but in the different places to create different colors. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to come to the intersection first, and we'll select all those. So get this from the side. We're going to go to X-ray mode, hit B to box select. We're going to box select this whole dense section. Hold down Alt and Shift and deselect the big loops. One at a time, like this. Yep. So those have to be silver. And let's see this. And then we're going to B to box select, grab all these. And we want this group as well. All right, so this will be the black shader. So we'll come down here to the shader, click plus to create a new slot. We'll grab our metal material. And I'm going to click the double paper icon to make it its own unique version. So you can see it's give it a new name. Click assign. And then with this one active, I'm going to come over and change the base color. So I can bring this down to a darker color. And then we're going to come up here and do the copper material the same way. So I'm going to edit mode. And I'll B to box select this group right here. And this group. Then we also need this, but I'll select that separately. So I'll hit plus to create a new slot, assign the material to it, click the double paper icon, and then click assign. And this one, we're going to give a bright coppery color like that. A bit brighter than that, I think. Yeah, looks good. And it looks like we need to expand just one notch. Or actually, we just need a loop cut. So I'm going to Control R, click here, and bring this right down like that. That should extend that out. All right, now let's get this guy. So I'm just going to look at this from the side, still with X-ray mode turned on. B to box select all that. Control plus to expand the selection once is all we need. and I can assign the copper material. And it looks pretty good, except we've got this little patch here. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to Control R, create a loop cut, and just come right up to the edge of that. So what I might do is go to face mode, select this group, and put the old material back onto it. No, that's not going to fix it. Maybe one more loop cut, bring it right up to that edge. There we go. That looks better. Great. And then in here, we need to have the dark material. So I'm going to grab that face. I'm going to go ahead and assign it to those guys. And then I can just click Shift. And the light material, the dark side and the light side, bingo, there it is. Awesome. Now, I know you're all sitting at home right now thinking, looks great, Chris, but what about the most important part? Of course, to have a lightsaber that turns on, right? So we're going to select this guy, come over here, go into edit mode, hold down Alt. There we go. Now Shift S, cursor to selected. That'll put the 3D cursor right there. Now we go Shift A, mesh, cylinder. Scale it down, and scale Z, grab Z, bring it up. Let's see, it'll just come right in like this. I'm going to go into edit mode and actually, to grab that edge loop there, Shift S, cursor to select it. That'll put the cursor right here at the base of this guy. And now I can go Object, Set Origin to 3D Cursor. That'll put the origin to this guy right here. Now if we scale him on the Z, he'll go up like that. So go up. So scale Shift Z just to narrow it down a little bit. And we can leave that flat because we're going to go new, create a new material. Call this the we'll call this the light. The other thing we'll call saber. And we're going to switch this off the principled BSDF. So if you watch the material shader editor here, if I switch it here to an emission, where are you? Emission shader, there you are. You can see it just gets rid of the node and replaces it with the emission shader node. And we can make this the classic green. Turn it right up. Eat your heart out, Darth Vader. Okay, wait. We gotta fill the bottom here. So select that edge loop, F3, grid fill. Bingo. All right, now we have a lightsaber. Well, I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial and learned a lot about modeling and some procedural textures and how to make something look like a lightsaber like this. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave me a comment. Let me know what kind of tutorials you'd like to see in the future. Special thanks to all the supporters on Patreon and everybody on YouTube that supports the channel. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thanks to everyone who watched. You're cool too. All right, I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, have a fantastic week. See you later.